Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotion, and thank you so much for our time together again today. I want to talk to you today for just a moment about the character of a prosperous person. Sometimes you and I think that prosperity just happens and it's just about the blessings of God and it's just about God's abundance in our lives. And yes, we are blessed, and yes, God has been good to us. But we also need to face the fact that there's something about our character that brings the blessings of God to our lives. I'd like to show you in Jacob's life. In Genesis chapter 30, in our reading today, verse 31, it makes an interesting statement. "What shall I give you?" Laban asked Jacob. "Don't give me anything," Jacob responded. And then he began to lay out a plan for, listen, I'll work for what I receive. I'll be rewarded for my performance. Now back up and notice a phrase that you probably just skipped over and just blew right by in your devotions yesterday in Genesis chapter 29, verse 15. Jacob had stayed with him for a month, and Laban said to him, "Just because you are a relative of mine, should you work for me for nothing?" Should you work for me for nothing? In other words, in the month that Jacob had been staying in Laban's house, Jacob was working. There was not an attitude of being a parasite. There was not an attitude of entitlement. There was not a rich kid's mentality. Well, I'm sitting here with my Uncle Laban now, and I'm a relative, so I'll just sit back and relax and let everybody else work. He was out there working. And after a month of this, Laban says, listen, just because you're a relative doesn't mean that you should work for nothing. Let me pay you. And now Jacob gives him a response. Don't give me anything. Let me do this in a way that my performance is rewarded. Now, brothers and sisters, if you and I will learn in life to not have an attitude of what's mine, to not have an attitude of entitlement, but to have an attitude of, if I see a job that needs to be done, I'm going to work. If I'm going to live in somebody's home, I'm going to work. If I'm not going to be a parasite ever in my life, and I'm not going to have an attitude of, you owe me something in life. I'm going to work for everything I receive in life. Now, if we'll learn to get out of that entitlement mentality and get back into what is called literally by theologians, a Judeo-Christian work ethic, we will see prosperity flow to our lives.